Hello everyone, you guys are watching Snack Chats, and we're going to be comparing Book 2 of Infinity Train with Season 2 of 12 Forever. Oh, wait, yeah, there's no Season 2.
Damn it. Why did this have to happen, Netflix?
It's because the creator was a pedophile. Anyway, Book 2 of Infinity Train. I guess before we get into a lot of discussion of the inner workings of Book 2, let me just ask one question. Did you like Book 2 more than Book 1?
Well, first off, spoiler warning, come back to this when you're done watching Infinity Train. Anyways, I'm sort of mixed because it gave me the same feelings as Book 1 by memory, but I felt like Book 1 came off with more to remember by, while with Book 2, it made it feel more like it has more understandability.
Yeah, Book 1, you have more of the mystery of like what's the train, what's going on. But with Book 2, since we already have a lot of those questions answered at this point, you're just waiting to see how things unfold.
Yeah, so it gives off different feelings, while Book 2 sort of overall, like, it's a great season, don't get me wrong. But the thing is that it sort of like takes off the mystery, in my opinion, that Book 1 had of just diving right in.
The season did introduce a few new concepts that I definitely think will be touched on in any future books that they decide to do. The big thing at the end was that the Apex was introduced, sort of like a ragtag group of passengers who believed that the train was specifically made for them. It's sort of borderline cult.
Yeah, it sort of brings along an idea of what can happen just in general, because they're trying to make this an actual real thing.
I mean, they don't consider any of the life on the train, except for the passengers, as anything. They just call them nulls, nothing.
Yeah, which is just crazy, and that's more like a programmer's term, in my opinion, just saying null. I find it crazy that were all these kids going to computer camp with her? But regardless, it's just that crew's interesting, but I don't see too much potential with continuing them as more than just how they treated the mirror police.
I mean, I do think it's an interesting concept that they can build on top of, especially since this is a group that idolizes Amelia, the conductor villain from Season 1.
Well, that's another thing in comparison between Season 1 and 2, is that in Season 1, the only people that we saw were Amelia, Tulip, and that one guy that got blasted into the real world.
Yeah, this book you see a lot more passengers on the train, way more than you saw in Book 1.
I legit thought that there was a train for a handful of people, but now it's sort of in Season 2, it's now everyone.
Yeah, you see a lot more of the human passengers interact this time around.
Yeah, which makes me sort of wonder, is this just more of a metaphor on how everyone just sort of goes throughout their problems? Or is this supposed to be a real mythological type of a thing, not just a metaphor?
Therapy train.
I know who needs therapy. Steven Universe. He should get on the Infinity Train. He has a lot of problems.
Talk about the train itself. We did get to see a bit more of their workings of the train through the tape car, which is pretty much the car that extracts tapes from all the passengers, because that was something interesting that they brought from the first book, just tapes of everyone's issues, their pasts, and how they got onto a train. It wasn't explained at all, but that was a concept I didn't think that they would go into.
The inner workings of the train is sort of crazy when you think about it. I feel like Book 3 will be going more in depth about how the train was even made.
I feel like that backstory would be left until either a definitive final book or not told at all.
Right, that's another thing, is it sort of brings about the whole Star Wars thing where you just need to know what the Force is, and then they explain that the Force is some type of cell thing.
Midichlorians. I think if you put it like that, I think it's better that we don't touch upon the train's origins.
Yeah, Unless it's like some grandiose thing.
Leave the mystery.
Yeah, but it seems like it is going that way, doesn't it?
I don't know. Like I said, I speculate that if they do decide to tell us the train's origins, it would be in like a final book. Anyway, what did you think of the main crew this time around? Jesse, MT, and Alan Dracula.
I felt like it was random, sort of. I get it, it's an infinity train, and like it just picks up people at random. But the thing is that like...
Did you like this crew more or less than Tulip, 1-1, and Atticus?
That's a hard thing to say because I like their growth like a lot more and their interpersonality with each other.
Yeah, they definitely have more inner conflict compared to Tulip, 1-1, and Atticus.
Yeah, because they were initially like, well, at least one of them was initially a secondary character. But the thing is that for Tulip, Atticus, and 1-1, I don't know, I sort of like more standardized main characters, and Tulip did that well and did enough to make her like individually interesting.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then you get Atticus, who's just a cute fluff ball that's like epic in certain times, while 1-1 is like
the comedic relief that ends up being the key to everything.
Yeah, and like you see growth with each and every single character there. While with this one, it's like, yes, I love the character growth and everything. Sorry, I'm not giving examples for time's sake. Which, by the way, you should just watch it to get the examples. But MT is just... she sort of seems like secondary, like this is a side story.
I do think the struggles that Jesse and MT had to go through this book were very interesting, because with book 1 we only really had to deal with Tulip struggles, while in book 2 we sort of have MT and Jesse's struggles and views on things sort of clash, which I do think makes a bit more of an interesting character dynamic.
Yeah, but the thing is that what was the deer's name? Vampire
Alan Dracula.
Yeah, Alan Dracula. I didn't like him at all.
Really?
There's a difference between like 1-1 being the comedic thing, where like some of the cutesy comedic things, like even if I didn't understand it, I would still smile.
Yeah.
But with Alan Dracula, it's sort of like he just feels there. He just feels like a pet. That's probably why I don't like it, because I am not a pet person.
I don't know. He does feel kind of like a non-character.
Right. He sort of feels like the creator of the train. That's the twist. It was all Alan Dracula.
Well, at the end, 1-1 called Alan Dracula his greatest creation.
Yeah, that's true. Which is weird in all senses of the word.
I don't know. I did feel like just sort of situations that Alan Dracula got in just got kind of frustrating. Like you're frustrated alongside the main characters.
Yeah, and I just don't see the connection other than, oh my god, this pet listens to me. Like, he just legit just looks like an overpowered pet.
That doesn't do anything that you want at the right time.
Yeah, I felt like they were gonna do a second 1-1 thing, because when I was going along with 1-1, I sort of had the same feeling, but he at least was, like, cute, there was connections.
And he actually had dialogue.
And he actually had dialogue, etc. But with Alan Dracula, it's just, hey, I'm there.
So, like the last season, we have a character dealing with their personal train number on the palm of their hand, being Jesse. What did you think of their conflict this time around?
I felt like it was nice. I remember saying to myself that, like, did MT sort of exist before Tulip figured out how to bring down the number? Because was it MT?
Well, I think she was at least there for some moments because, you know, reflective surfaces and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like she got a general gist of how to bring it down, but since she wasn't there for like the later half of the season, she probably didn't get full memo how to actually bring it down. So when she helps Jesse, she sort of gives him the abridged version of how to get your number down.
Yeah, I mean, I just felt like she was pretty vague when she could have just asked, like, hey, what problems you going through, bud?
Well, that's the thing. Jesse, well, everyone on the train has to acknowledge their issues before they can get past it. And Jesse's issues being that he likes to put other people before himself.
It's to the point that it actually hurts him and
hurts people around him.
Yeah.
And, you know, he wants to please everyone, even if it costs him his own happiness.
Right. Like, he'll let people use him to get a step up.
Yeah. And, like, it's good that you want to try to be a people pleaser, but at the same time, you shouldn't sacrifice your own happiness.
Exactly. I think everyone has sort of been in that state before, whether it be due to loneliness or
just wanting acceptance.
Yeah.
Or you're just put in a situation where you can't not try to make everyone happy.
Exactly.
We are not trained therapists. Don't quote any of us on this.
Right. But in the beginning, I did really think, like, yo, why don't you just ask him, like, what his problems are and then go from there? Like, he might not know, that's another thing, but at least, like, you have the basis of, like, yo, what you going through, man?
How did you feel that Mirror Tulip had more of a spotlight this season than the human protag?
I felt like it was a nice switch up. It shows that this is more of a experimental type of animation, in my opinion.
Plus, it's a great way to continue the story from book 1 because she was an element of Tulip.
Right.
We're sort of continuing.
Yeah, while not having Tulip right there.
Sort of gives the audience familiarity.
Yeah, it's very experimental. I like it, but at the same time, initially, I felt like it was sort of like, it's hard to explain about how, like, in Final Fantasy 13, it's like going from Final Fantasy 13 to Final Fantasy 13-2, where you go from, like, the main cast into just this duo, Sarah and this other dude, that don't initially feel as strong as the original main cast.
Whatever, nerd. Mirror Tulip's whole conflict is that she's trying to deal with her own identity. She's a reflection that just recently became free, yet she's still living in a world where everyone's throwing labels at her, and she's having her own, like, personal struggles with her identity.
Yeah, due to preconceived notions about the train.
Yes, and the inner workings of the mirror world.
Yeah.
Talking about the mirror world and the flexes, we have on-screen death. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's the whole Samurai Jack thing where it's like, they're not human, so go wild.
Yet the whole book 2 is about trying to get Mirror Tulip to be human. Which sort of, like, if you actually look at it...
I mean, it's kind of brutal how she, like, takes him out.
And they legit have it on screen. It's not like they cut right before it happens.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Yeah,
like,
he's just grinded to death.
Like, before in animation history for Cartoon Network, you would just, like, have that cut, and then there would be a commercial break or something. Then we would cut back to her, like, wiping off a piece of him off of her cheek at most.
Or if you're Samurai Jack, you could be as violent as you want, as long as it's robots.
Exactly.
Or unless you're Adult Swim May series.
Right.
I guess just to finish off our little discussion about Book 2, what do you think they're gonna be doing for the next season, Book 3? Do you think that they're gonna be sticking with a 3-man trio?
I don't know. I feel like with how they had Jesse be able to come back to the train, I feel like there might be something where they fix, like, another problem with the train, or maybe that it just seems like you can go back to the train at any time for, like, any simple problem, you know what I mean? So I feel like it might be that type of situation, or they could go, like, the most obvious route they can go is legit to just tackle the whole Apex problem with the whole ideology of that Amelia is now trying to rectify. That just seems like the most obvious standpoint, but I really do hope that they go with something that I don't predict that easily, because I really didn't like the Apex, in my opinion.
I don't know. I feel like that's a group that could be major villains if they give them a bit more time and a bit more development, because they seem like the type of group that'll just straight up try and take over the train. Plus, it would be interesting if they actually did meet up with Amelia, because that's sort of their idol. That's the one that they base their whole philosophy on.
You also want to see Justice for what they've done.
Except if they're a cop, then you kill them.
I just feel like that should happen more often because they were legit, like, they should not be redeemed or ignored.
Thank you again for watching Snack Chats. Please like, subscribe, comment, whatever, anything helps. Good night, good morning, whatever. We'll see you later.
Can't wait to talk about book 3 when it happens, hopefully next year.
And season 3 of 12 Forever. Oh wait,